This is Jarrod Horak. Welcome to my latest Road to the 2023 Kentucky Oaks video. And in this video, I'm going to be covering the Silverbulletday Stakes at Fairgrounds for Saturday, January 21st. I've covered 11 races in this series so far. My top choices have 6 wins, and I've given out some winning exactas and trifectas as well. So remember to keep checking my YouTube channel each week that they run these Oaks and Derby points races. I'm going to be covering those in video format, and I'm going to be giving out my top choice along with some wagering strategies. And if you're interested in my full card analysis at Santa Anita Park, you can head on over to therunawayhorse.com. You will find those full cards on my sales page each day Santa Anita Park runs. You can purchase individual full cards, weekly and weekend packages, or the entire meet. Again, check out therunawayhorse.com on my sales page for more information. Now, this Silverbulletday Stakes is a Kentucky Oaks points race, and it will have 20 points for the win, 8 for second, 6 for third, 4 for finishing fourth, and then 2 points if you finish fifth. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this video content. Now, let's get into the analysis of this Silverbulletday Stakes. It's a $150,000 race. It'll go as race 12 at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 21st for 3-year-old fillies, a mile and 70 yards on the main track, and the scheduled post time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Norah G, 8-1 morning line, will break from the inside post, and she has run well in all 3 of her starts. Can't really say anything bad about her. She's a Louisiana-bred daughter of Fast Anna, and in her career debut at Fairgrounds, she stalked the pace after breaking 12th from post 9, and then she ended up taking the lead in the stretch and kicking clear and winning nicely. She was 9-1 that day, and then the runner-up was the next out winner, along with the show finisher. So in her second career start, she was in a stakes race for state breds at Fairgrounds at 6 furlongs, and she rallied from 7th place to miss by a neck. Good effort there. She was well clear of the rest. And then in her last start on a good track at 6 furlongs at Fairgrounds, Louisiana Futurity, she ended up winning that race. She stalked from mid-pack. She took the lead. She won by 3/4 of a length. So now she's going to stretch out in distance, face open company. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they tried to get involved a bit early because there's not a lot of pace in the paper race, and she is stretching out from sprint races. The 2, Cotton Candy Annie, this one is 20-1 morning line. She's won a couple times from 8 starts. They claimed her out of a maiden claiming 50,000 race. That was at Churchill Downs at a mile and a 16th, and she won that race. And then her current conditioner, Armando Hernandez, he put her in an optional claiming race at Churchill in the slop in her next start at 1 mile. That's a 1-turn mile at Churchill. And she was sitting in mid-pack, stalking wide, and she won by 3/4 of a length. They tried her in the Untappable Stakes last time out. She was 22-1. She was 7th, beaten 17 lengths. She did race wide that day, chasing the pace. So now she's going to really have to step up because that stakes race, she didn't really do much running. She has some ability, but I just don't think it's stakes ability, or at least not at this point. Hayunevano is next. This one, in her first start, she finished 3rd in the slop at 5.5 furlongs. Her second start, breaking from the inside post, fast track, stretched out in distance, controlled the pace, and ran away and won easily. And then in her last start, the Untappable Stakes, she stalked from post 9, and that was a 9-horse field, so she was out in the outside post, stalking wide. She had the lead at the midway point, but she couldn't keep it together, and she ended up finishing 4th, beating 9 lengths. Again, I think this is a tougher field. She's going to have to run a better race, but in a race without a lot of speed, she looks a little bit interesting, at least possibly controlling the pace. The Alys Look is the next one, and this is one of 2 entrants for trainer Brad Cox. And in her career debut, she was starting out at 7 furlongs at Keeneland, post 10, 11-horse field, broke slow, rallied to finish 3rd. She was beaten 6 lengths. She was well clear of the rest. Not a bad effort. It's not easy to win at 7 furlongs in the debut, especially when you're trying to come from so far back at Keeneland. Okay effort that day. In her second career start in the slop, maybe she didn't like the wet track. She was well beaten at Churchill Downs second time out. And then in her third start, it was a fast track race at Fairgrounds at this mile and 70-yard distance, and she got out there, she controlled the pace, and she won by 7 lengths. Last time in the Untappable Stakes, she was rallying wide. It was a 9-horse field. She was sitting back in 8th early, and she just kept chugging along, and she ran a decent race. Pretty Mischievous was clearly best, and the Alys Look was clearly second best. A solid effort there. She didn't have Lasix that day, so she proved she didn't need it, and she's not going to have it here either. So in a race like this with not a lot of speed, And she's versatile because she broke her maiden wire to wire. She closed in her debut, and then she closed in that untappable. They could probably kind of place her anywhere depending on the start. Luis Saez gets aboard as Florent Giroux jumps over her to her stablemate number 5, Chop Chop, and she's your 8-5 morning line favorite for trainer Brad Cox. And she looked good in her career debut in a turf route at Ellis Park last year. She stalked, she won nicely. Second time out, a stakes race at Kentucky Downs. She stalked the pace, she won by a nose, and that was on turf as well. And then in her third start, they switched her to the main track in the Alcibiades. I thought that was a big effort that day. Wonder Wheel was able to get out there and control the pace and wire the field. And speed horses really did well that day. They just held up in that Alcibiades, except Chop Chop was the only one making up any ground. And she rallied from 11th place in that 14-horse field to finish second by a nose. So after that big effort, I made her my value top choice, or so I thought she was going to offer value in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. But they bet her down as the favorite, but she ran a poor race that day. And a lot of it you can just kind of throw that out because it was an inconclusive effort because she was so wide. She broke from post 7, but then she ended up wide around the first turn and wide throughout, and she just never really got involved. And she ended up running last. I think you can just draw a line through that one. That's exactly what I'm going to do and think that she can run a much better race. I wonder what style she's going to use because in that Alcibiades, she came from far back. Like I said, the pace was fairly lively, but the speed did hold. But in those turf races, she did show the ability to have some tactical speed. So we'll see if she tries to close from further back, which could make her task a bit tough in a race without a lot of pace, or will they try to stalk the pace? We'll have to see. Amber Cascade is the next one, and she's 6-1 morning line, and she was nowhere in her career debut at 6 furlongs or 6.5 furlongs. A 1-turn mile second time out, much better effort. She finished second, and a clear second at that. And then in her last start, she added Lasix, and she was going from maiden claiming 50 second time out back to a maiden special weight last time. And on a good track, she won that race, putting Lasix on, stalking the pace, winning by more than 3 lengths. So she's one that's capable of at least getting somewhat forward in here. And her first start against winners, she is on the improve. Her speed ratings improved all 3 times. Finally, number 7, Forest Chimes. And she ran away in her debut. It was on a good track at the fairgrounds on December 31st. And she, from the inside post, she sat in mid-pack, took over in the stretch, and then won by more than 7 lengths. Earned an okay speed rating. She did get a decent amount of pace help, but it's not easy winning a 2-turn race first time out, and she did show something there. We'll have to see how good she is in her first start against winners. So the pace here is a little bit puzzling, just not quite sure how it's all going to play out, but you got to think that Hayunevano is going to be one that's going to be up there, and then others have the capability, as I said, maybe stretching out in distance. Norah G could try to get involved, and you see races like this where there's not a lot of pace, and maybe some of the others that for instance, the inside horse may be trying to take advantage of an inside post in a race without a lot of pace, trying to get up there. But either way, I'm going to make Chop Chop my top choice. I liked her, really liked her effort in the Alcibiades when no one else was closing, but she was. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, everything went wrong. She was just so wide, and I just have to draw a line through that one. And Florent Giroux, it looks like he chose her over the Alys Look, who's a solid contender, and her stablemate in here. But Chop Chop, maybe not a lot of value, but I think that she's going to be the one to beat if the pace is at least honest enough to set up her charge from a bit off the pace. So Chop Chop number 5 will be my top choice. And I'm just going to make Chop Chop, I'm going to play her to win and then play a one-way exacta, the 5 over her stablemate number 4, the Alys Look. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. And that will wrap up this video. And I'll be back next. I'm going to take a look at the LeCompte Stakes, a road to the 2023 Kentucky Derby Points race. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.